Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. On Races of the Worlds today, we are discussing orbs. Not all of them. The ones we're going to specifically target today are the ones that show up in people's photographs. Now, before I get carried away, thank you for joining me. If you've got specific questions or general ones, there's a list of contact numbers below this video to get in touch with me. Drop me a line, ask any questions you'd like, and we will answer the ones that we're able to. Now, this being said, or willing to, depending on how you look at it, but this being said, do give us the thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe to our channel, and absolutely share it to the people that you feel will benefit from it. So, shall we get on with this? When we're discussing the orbs in photographs, there are three major types that you'll find. Inside, the most common type of orb that shows up in a photograph that I'm aware of is quite literally not an orb at all, so much as dust particulates that the photograph picks up. This is why it is so important, if you're looking at something going, I think that's an orb, get it checked by a professional to really analyze it. And by the way, I personally am not a professional where it comes to videos. This is why people will send me a video, they'll go, what is this such and such a race? Is this real? I have no way of telling you specifically if it's real, aside from I'm looking at it. But then I am not a photo analyst. Okay, when you're taking photographs, it is normal, especially in certain circumstances, to see a lot of orbs around a person, because that's the way that air currents work and dust particulates. Now, there are other types of orbs. Inside the house, of course, you may find the Vorosic. They are literally an energy form, okay? And they're only tiny little things. They're not a threat to anybody. They are just they're just something that shows that you'll catch because of the photograph, where the human eye doesn't tend to pick it up. Similar to the orb, to the Vorosic, and sadly I will have to look into the names, but that's okay. There are also the elongated ones that look more like rods. This is why I happen to have two reference manuals, one of which I keep handy, so that I can scan through it while I'm talking to you if I have to find out where, what I'm looking at. Because way too much information. The reality of it is this. When you're looking at the orbs in a building, most of the time, what you're looking at is probably dust, but have it checked. There is no way I'm going to tell you what you're seeing is not real. Okay, it is real. But the Vorosic they're an energy form. They are a race unto themselves, and we will do a video on them a little later. Okay. But you may catch a picture of them. They come in various different colors. The other type of actual physical orb you may find, and these are usually seen outdoors, okay, are the Zotar, which are a reptilian race, but they're only like this tall. Okay, so their ships, the orb ships, are actually orbs that are roughly about 5 to 6 inches in diameter. These are one-man ships. Well, we'll use the term man a little loosely. But the geckoid race, the Zotar, their tallest pilots are 3 inches. And obviously the reason for that, if your ship's only 5 inches, you need room for the technology to run. Okay, plus the person. So, again, you'll find the Zotar outside, quite often out on the fields or out in your backyard, you might see them. The Vorosic, you can see pretty much anywhere. Okay, but they are just tiny little things. Some people have mistaken the Terran Firefly, or more to the point, mistaken a Zotar for a Terran Firefly and vice versa. Okay, Terran being something from Earth. Okay, obviously dust particles, well, sorry, you just gotta live with it. And there is no, that I'm aware of, there's no real functional way of knowing for certain when you're first spotting them whether or not it's a dust particle, because they all operate on the same idea. They will refract light in various ways that professional analysts can actually identify. Okay, now when we take a look at the Vrosic, now the Vrosic are just little guys. Okay, the Zerzics is another race that would come across as an orb, but the reality of a Zerzics is they tend to be a lot bigger. Okay, if you've ever seen ball lightning, for instance, okay, if it doesn't seem to be behaving like ball lightning should, you may be looking at a Xerxes. Okay, and again, this is another one of the races you won't, in all likelihood, find a Xerxes inside because it causes way too many problems in the house. Not the least of which is it'll short out the electronics you've got. You know, the Vrosic are a race that don't, they may cause they may cause interference on your Wi-Fi, they may cause interference on your cell phones, and the reality is that they aren't doing it intentionally in most cases. It's just, you got to remember, they are composed of electromagnetic energy. So obviously this is, at least we think it's obvious, this is going to create a problem for communication lines on Terran technology. In all fairness, it can cause problems for communication lines with the other races and higher technologies as well. Okay, now one of the other things to look at when you're looking at the pictures in your house, if you've taken a photograph, sometimes what you'll find, and you'd only know this, you know, once in a while, what'll happen is you'll get a number of orbs all patterning all sitting in a stable pattern, which may resemble a human or humanoid form. Okay, look for the telltale rings that make up the form, because an actual spirit or an actual ghost will have one halo around the whole thing. If you're dealing with a whole pile of Vorosic, or if you're dealing with, for instance, as a group of Zotar that are goofing off, which is known to happen periodically, you'll see individual halos, kind of like looking at little soap bubbles on top of each other. Okay, making the roughly humanoid form. Now, in all fairness, the Zotar have been known to do that on other planets as well with other races. Kind of a game, if you will. Little odd, but what the heck. Personally, I see a lot of the games that people play a little odd. But, so when you're taking your photographs, if you're in question, absolutely show them to the people that you know, or get the word out. We're not talking about your imagination. Okay, we are talking about things that are very real, in my opinion, things that I've seen most of my life. Now, of course, people have asked me personally, well, have you got any photographs? Well, if I actually had a camera that I bothered using, I might get some sometime, but I just don't. Okay, so again, you know, we're going to tie this off. There's a lot of different races that fall under the category of orb or orb-like. But inside, just to briefly wrap it up, dust particulates are your most likely. The Vorosic are just tiny little electromagnetic people. Okay, and they appear as orbs. And then, of course, we have the Vorosic, which are a little itty bitty gecko like reptilian. Okay, but they themselves are only like 3 or 4 inches tall. Their ships are one-man ships, and they are only about a 5-inch diameter. So their largest pilots are only a 3-inch critter. Needless to say, they're not exactly a threat to mankind. But don't kid yourself. They can create their own complications if they really wanted to. Fortunately, they're not that interested. So we're going to wrap this up here. And again, if you like our video, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel to get the rest of the videos coming out, because we're getting back into it again. We've had all kinds of complications, but we'll get to that later. And if you've got any questions, absolutely drop me a line at one of the contact points below. Okay, and I will do my best to address it. Anyway, oh, one last little detail. I have been on Spaced Out Radio on the internet at spacedoutradio.com for, I think, going on 6 years now. I think this is actually hitting our 6-year anniversary. It's the first Friday of every month from 9 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hope to hear from you there. Now, that being said, until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other.